this meeting to order. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, we have Mr. King. He is on telephone, so he can hear you. Chris, can you hear all of us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. I just can't see. So the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the 213 minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So that motion is approved and the minutes are approved. Second on the agenda is the budget draft. Mr. Stepp and I have kind of gotten together and tried to determine a way to go through this. So what we're going to start doing, and I'm assuming, Chris, you have the executive summary.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Mr. Stepp is going to start there, and then we're going to go through the budget, see where we are, see what is actually included in this budget, and then we will start, we will see where we get to and go from there. So, Mr. Stepp, if you'd
Okay.
like to go through.
Okay, for the executive summary, our TISA allocation this year was $49,375,977.60. The local match is $19,613,000. So our total estimate as of right now, we've gotten two estimates from the state, is $68,376,590.60. So this year, we're looking at meeting the requirement of law to go up to the $50,000 minimum for teacher pay. So we're taking another step this year, and then we got 2 more years of salary increases to get to that 50. So for this year, what we propose for the certified is we're balancing the salary schedule, and also they will get pay raises that average 7%. So the way the salary schedule is set up now, the proposal is from Leapfrog study that we've worked with Leapfrog before, where it balances from year 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. It's a recognizable percentage raise and not random. Right now, our salary schedule, you can get $50 one year from year 1 to 2, or you get $1,000 from 7 to 8. So it's kind of a random, so we're trying to balance that. So that's why on the certified salary increases, it averages 7%. So the depending on where you are on that chart, you might get 2%, or you might get the 8 or 9%, depending on where you fit on that chart. And that's a 1-year thing to create that chart for certified. And then we're also proposing a 4% increase on classified. So that'd be 3 years in a row that we've done that increase for classified. So the new starting teacher pay proposed for this year, we're at $46,787 with this pay increase. Last year it was $43,000 and some change. And then when you're looking at pay increases, for every 1% increase for the certified, it's $535,385. Well, for certified and classified. So the total budgetary impact on the pay increases is $3,250,534, which is proposed, and this is obviously draft 1 of the budget. So this is our first draft. So new positions for certified, we're asking for 2 new classroom teachers. The population at 2 schools north, and I can't remember that, increased to where we need to add certified teacher to meet the state requirements of teacher-student ratios. So that proposal is $117,004. And then an unfunded mandate now with the state of Tennessee is we have to provide tutoring for K-4 students, ELA and math, As everyone knows, we were under ESSER money, federal money, to fund the interventionists, and we are also under Tennessee All-Corps to fund tutoring. That money has gone away. So those positions, what I'm proposing for the tutoring is providing 820-day interventionists at 8 of the elementary schools and 180-day at 1 elementary school to cover K-4 tutoring. So that total cost is $369,600. And the total budgetary impact of new certified positions, that includes the taxes and the TCRS, the retirement system, is $497,000 and $497,162. So the total budgetary impact of salaries and pay increases across the board is $3,747,696. So we are proposing for a CDC classroom 1 new special education assistant. So that budget cost is $18,267, and the total impact of that new classified position is $21,217.12. That includes taxes and retirement TCRS. So looking at increased expenses, we're projecting out 5 to 10% increase on all software items. We're looking at a 6% increase in health insurance, and did I say that right?
3% in this budget year, because
Oh,
it changes
3% this
January
budget.
1st.
Correct. Yeah, only 3% this fiscal year, and then January. So that's approximately $300,000. I think our total on health insurance is right at $10 million
Right.
and some change. So then we're looking at a 5 to 10% increase in office supplies and a 20% increase for buffers, scrubbers, vacuums, all the equipment that we use in the schools daily. And then our additional property insurance increase, workman's comp, right at 20%, so it's $170,799, and that's through the Tennessee Risk Management. It's where we keep all of our insurance. This does not include, if we want to include a line item for homestead, so we can put some money towards homestead and the safety issues that the board has discussed, and it doesn't include the maintenance projects that we're waiting on Chamberlain's complete schedule of that, and then some of the recommendations he said that might need to be looked at now. So that's the budget. So that's the executive summary.
Chris, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Why do we have the 7% average for the certified?
So what we're looking at, and a lot of counties are doing this year because of the cost of the pay increases, they're using a graduated pay increase. So depending on if you're a younger teacher, newer to the business, to get to that 50,000, your increase percentage-wise might be a little more than somebody that's been here 20 plus years, and it's just to try to be a good steward of that taxpayer's money. We did an 8% across the board last year.
Yes, sir.
For all certified. We did 4% for all classified. So that expense is huge. So we looked at a graduated system just so that we can, better use of our money over the total budget. But that's just a proposal. We'll do what the board wishes.
Why not a 4% instead of
Well, because, let me give you my 2 cents.
Okay.
Which may not be worth 2 cents. In order to get that first year teacher up to 50,000, which we are required to do in we've got 2 more years of this. But if you look at it, that person, first year, just a regular bachelor's degree, is going to get an 8.4%. If you go down to 9 to 10 years, and you go over to somebody who's got a master's, they are only going to get a 2.4% raise.
even though we're giving it 7%?
Well,
It's an
7% average. I'm like you, I had a question with that. And I'm not sure that I'm still comfortable with it. Because, we talk about it, we say, we're giving a 7% raise or an 8% raise. Well, in my little mind, that means I'm getting 8% this year.
Right.
but that's not what this is. Because it just all depends on where you fall on the pay scale. I mean, we got one, and I think when I averaged it out, it was like a 1.7% raise was all they would get. But everybody else, and I think their salaries are something that we're gonna have to
And
put
it's
some
not to
time
say
into.
certain people are more important than others. It's not that. We're trying to balance the scale as well as provide the raise. So we're trying to hit two different things. So this balanced scale would be this year. Next year, the board could say, we just want a flat $1,000 for every teacher to get that bottom one up to 50. There's several different ways to do it. We kind of leaned on the Lean Frog study and also trying to balance the certified scale so it makes more sense. So you as a 20-year teacher might get a $50 raise going to 21, but a 10 to 11 would get $1,000. It's random on our scale right now. So we were just trying to balance it so it makes sense from year to year, the raise that you get.
When you say across the board, that includes supervisors and all of that, correct?
We proposed, like you requested, in this meeting, we have some proposed supervisor salary schedules that are based off the teacher day rate.
Okay.
So as you requested, we got those here too for the board to consider.
And those are, I mean, they're still up for discussion.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is just draft one. This is not,
This is where we're gonna start.
Okay.
It's a good place to start. The first budget that we looked at, we had an $819,000 fund balance. Well, that's scary. After, yesterday, we now have a $4 million fund balance. So we've got a little bit more room in which to make some changes.
Okay.
So I thought, you've got to start somewhere. So Mr. Stepp and I thought, let's start here,
Okay.
knowing that it's going to change.
Okay.
This is draft one. But I questioned the same thing you did. Now, last year, we gave an 8%
Yes.
across the board.
Yes, I was there.
This year, when I started calculating it up and started looking at it, that was not the case. You've got some teachers that are only gonna get and I've just picked this one, 2.4% raise. When your first year teacher's gonna get an 8% raise.
Okay. I don't,
So, I mean, I think we've gotta look at those salary scales pretty
Okay.
closely.
and thank you.
Yes, sir?
Mrs. Bray, do we know how many full-time, non-certified employees are earning the minimum wage?
Actually, all of them. All of them.
All of them are earning minimum wage, no higher or lower, just,
Well, everybody, there's no one below $10. There's no one below $10 an hour.
but we have some above $15 an hour too, depending on
And
how
we have
long
some
they've
at
been.
20. I mean, it just
Yeah.
depends on the position.
We gave we gave a pretty good, we addressed that 2 years ago.
Correct.
And
non-classified,
non-certified is now not classified,
non-certified, non-classified.
yeah, or classified,
But this year, they're not getting any.
4%.
4% is proposed.
The lowest paid person on the current scale is $10.92, all the way up to $33.43 for an electrician maintenance man, and everything in between.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. Kim?
But we start them out, if you're a custodian mower, because I've got that from last year, at $10.92.
Yes, ma'am, with if you have no experience,
Right.
never had a job, never done anything, you start at $10.92.
And that's just a mower?
Well, that's,
A custodian, someone that, basically your non-maintenance custodians, your 207 custodians. That's what they would start at if they.
207 days.
Correct, if
Got
they
it.
had no experience whatsoever. But we are getting a few more people coming to us with experience, which we can give them credit for.
okay.
Do you want Ms. Bray to go through?
That's what you had
can?
requested, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to start somewhere, and I think if we get a good feel of what's in here, then we know from there where we need to look.
Well, is everybody good with the revenue? Everybody kind of understand where all that came from, or do I need to go through that?
Well,
Because basically, we have TISA money, which is the 68 million. We do have some other grants. We have a pre-K grant, which this year we're gonna get $1,104,583, which is up a bit from what we previously received. Ms. Polson has her coordinated school health grant that's called something else now, but that's $113,000. We still have our reimbursement from the state for our career ladder teachers. We still get our salary equity and our strategic comp from the state. And then there's just other things that we budget a little bit here and there, as far as local revenues for contributions, gifts, things like that. It doesn't really amount to much, probably about $143,000.
so we're starting, the amount of money that we're starting with is 7286.
Yes, ma'am, $70,286,199.
Okay.
First page of the budget is our regular instruction page. This is where all of our classroom teachers live. Like I said in the past, basically like any business, we basically have wages and benefits as our two largest costs. And this page is no exception. The biggest increase here would be to our teacher salaries. Mr. Steps already covered the positions that we're going to increase with our interventionists and then our classroom teachers. TCRS for classified this year went to 8.5%. Certified is 9%.
Excuse me, where are you getting these numbers? Because I'm on the first page and I don't see
Okay,
it.
look on page 5.
Page 5, so it's not page 1, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Page 5, and we're over in the column where the comments are. And the 6% increase in insurance, like I said, that will be reflected 3% in this year. And then we did have some increases as far as our software and instructional supplies. We will be purchasing textbooks again yet this year, which I think it'll be science and social studies this year. We'll do half this year and half next year, just like we've done in the past with ELA and math. And that is pretty much it, but the bulk of the increase there again is salaries and benefits.
So when you say the health insurance 3% for this year, do we go from January to January on the health
From January to
insurance?
December. It does not coincide with our fiscal year.
So what will, starting in January, will that,
That 3% will kick in January above what they're paying today.
but we don't have to pay it?
Correct, until January.
Until January. And that's a 3% increase?
How many extra teachers did we use last year?
One, I believe.
And we budgeted for
So-
what?
Normally I budget for 3.
So we're okay in that category.
Well, we've got budgeted in here for 3 extra teachers
And then I
if
put the
needed.
2 that I know we're gonna have to have.
And-
They're already included.
Are they are included?
Yes, that's
in
why
that.
there's 357 this year. Because they've already been earned.
Okay. So on the executive summary, if we're asking for 2 new classroom teachers, are they in this budget?
They are. The 3 that we put in there are just extras if we need them during the year for numbers increase or student population changes in certain grade levels. Any other questions on this page? This is our largest instructional page. Like I said, this is where the majority of our classroom teachers live.
Okay. Chris, any questions?
But now the percentages that go
No
up, that's
questions.
just something that happens all the time.
Correct.
Are they paying, is TISA covering summer school this year?
Not TISA, but we're getting separate funding, thank goodness for summer school, but that's for this year. I don't know about next year.
Where are those funds coming from?
TDOE.
That's why I put money in for summer school for next year, just in case.
Okay.
And we didn't
There's
find
no
out.
promise of next year.
Yeah, we didn't find out till January-ish that the state was gonna pay for summer school. We were scrambling up until then.
Trying to figure out where we were going.
Oopsie. Page 6 is the alternative school.
Okay.
We have 4 classroom teachers there. We have 1 alt assistant. And here again, the majority of this increase is just salaries and benefits.
Why does it have other supplies and materials, TISA? What does that mean?
That just comes out of the TISA. That's what I reimburse to them that comes from TISA.
Okay. You,
And this is on the Phoenix campus for anybody that doesn't know where the alt school is.
right, it comes from TISA and then you just transfer it automatically to alternative.
At the beginning of the year, they all get their money, that the schools know to expect that the teachers get their money and that sort of thing. It's with we've done it with BEP, it's probably
Forever.
usually the first couple of weeks of school. The next page is Ms. Holton. This is our special education. This is where the special education teachers live, our homebound teachers, our educational assistants. We have been unable to hire any speech pathologists this year, so Ms. Holton has requested that we're just gonna contract those services. So that's why they were removed from the actual wage line and will be put in contract services. Here again, we have medical insurance and benefits, her TISA money for her teachers. And then she has requested an increase in her specialized equipment for various things that her special needs students need, especially for our new P3 special ed class.
Well, no, wait, just contracts with private agencies, there's nothing on that line.
It goes on another one of her pages.
Oh, she's got, okay.
And what about the homebound teachers? She's got we've got 0.
There should be
It
something.
says 2 halftime positions.
Right, there are 2 halftime positions.
Okay.
It's 0 increase.
There's no increase.
There's no increase
Yeah, it's
because
not-
of them, okay.
There's not a difference of budget for that.
The 7 positions we approved last year, did we fill them all?
Not really, we've come close, but we've had some come and go. I think we've probably got 2 that are still up, but we recently, we did recently fill one of those. 'Cause
So
we had
we, from the positions we granted last year, we approved last year, we've got 1 position open.
I believe that is correct, as far as just a straight up sped position.
I see that.
Ms. Holton has a lot of different positions with different titles, so,
Those are certified.
correct, that are certified.
Anita, feel free to jump in at any time.
Total increase on this page is $422,430. The next page is our CTE page. We now have 61 teachers because of ISM, which we've talked a lot about. Now, the one thing I would like for you to call to your attention, this is a tremendous increase of $1,254,226. However, the ISM grant will cover $700,000 of this. This is not being asked from GP. So be careful on page 8 to read the note at the bottom.
Okay, what grant?
The
The ISM
Innovative
grant.
School Model Grant, so that paid 100% of those positions this school year. Next year, we have to pay 25% of those salaries. The next year, so in 3 years, they'll be 100% under us. So far, TISA, what we've been credited for with those teachers, TISA has paid for that salary increase.
So they're gonna, that grant will send us 700 and.
We already have the money. Money's in the bank.
Money's in the budget.
The money was paid basically up front, more or less.
700,
She-
So we're only.
We're only
spending about
responsible for that much.
4,000.
Well, the grant itself was 6 million.
6.2 million for Cumberland County.
And we've only, I think this year, we don't know, whenever we get the final expenditures for this year, we'll put that money back in for next year. So we'll have it next year and then one more year.
I noticed that there's a inventory clerk.
Yes, she was there this year.
She was there this
She
year.
was. They have
So
really
that was
increased
a
the
new
amount of
position?
Correct?
That was a new position?
Last year, yes.
Last year,
Yes, ma'am. It says new this year, but it actually was last year.
okay.
It's a typo on my part. Now, if you look down a little bit further, you'll see where we have the greenhouses. We have increased our in-county travel simply because we do have more teachers now traveling. Other contracted services, this is your TCAT fees, registration fees. And if we would like to maintain the aviation scholarship program, that's gonna be an additional $70,000.
is it in this, that is in this budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell us what that is.
It's basically, as I understand it, for 4 of our students that they could get a pilot's license. Is that
They work
correct?
through all the aviation levels to where they end up graduating with a pilot's license. So it's very expensive.
And did we fund that last year?
It's previously covered by a grant, correct?
It was.
So it's not being covered by a grant this
No, ma'am.
year?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
We've had an increase, like I said, we have more classes, more teachers, so therefore we're gonna need more consumables. I think there is some textbooks that were needed to be purchased that were not originally included. And then she has some additional meetings that they plan on attending. And then we were gonna purchase some additional teacher computers. And we've done a lot of equipment purchases as far as to upgrade our labs and things like that. And that's what's reflected on this page.
Okay.
Go down to. Did we actually buy 2 house packages this year?
We did not. Dr. Eldridge?
Why?
We had 2 new teachers this year. One of our construction teachers lost his wife to an illness and wasn't able to build a house this past year. Another one was new. He started in the middle of the year, and we didn't want to ask him to build a house starting out brand new. So that's why we
Really?
didn't purchase those.
Well, I mean, brand new, build a house.
He needs to learn how to do lesson plans first.
Probably a good idea. So we didn't spend the 50,000.
They spent it on smaller projects. They did some storage sheds. They did some things around their campuses. So they did spend some of that money on other smaller buildings, but not an actual house.
I know we've had the house building in the past.
We had, but we had teachers who were there for more than 2 to 3 years at a time.
Okay.
Tenured teachers who had been there for over 5 years and were very confident in their work and everything that goes along with teaching on a day-to-day basis.
What is the benefit of buying 2 packages?
We have 2 programs, one at each school.
There you go. Okay. Sorry.
We're ready to move to student body education programs.
Yes.
This is where all of our athletic supplements and our ball game duty pay lives. Basically, this is just their coaching supplements. I put some addition on that because people, as they coach another year, will move up on the scale. So that will accommodate for that. We
You
have
s-
our,
It says added 6% increase. What did we increase?
basically where they go, if they move from like 6% from previous, like if they move up on the scale, I'm just averaging it. It may not be that much. We may have new coaches, they may start over. But it's
But
just
are we-
increasing from a previous year.
But why are we increasing the supplements?
We're not increasing the supplements. What I'm saying, the supplements are paid off of a scale.
That's right, right.
Right, and if a person is at year 5 and then they move up to that next bucket, they'll get an increase. And then at year 10, is that right, Mr. Safety, they get another increase?
Right.
So I'm just trying to estimate so we'll have enough money there. 'Cause
Okay.
it may not be that much, but I've got to put something there, because I know some people are gonna progress on that scale.
Okay.
Of course, we've got our taxes on that and state retirement. And then we've got our normal BEP for extracurricular activities, and then the monies that you folks had sponsored for national competitions. So we see a $30,385 increase on this page.
And it's saying 5 teams, 1,500, so how did they come up with these 5 teams?
They come in requesting from you folks. You've approved it before, like the cheerleaders, I think, remember?
Right.
They come and ask you guys.
Okay.
And for the last 2 years, we have not spent, because it has to be a national competition.
And I think
Okay.
didn't you approve
Archery.
archery?
Yes.
last year?
Archery,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I remember, okay.
But there's a form that's filled out and they always present it to you guys.
Okay.
The next one is where our school information folks live.
Is this the page where they keep up with all of the TISA
Yes,
elements and breakdowns?
that's the two ladies, yes, that.
Student information services and all the codes and everything that we put in our student information that's pulled by the state that covers the TISA funding. So there's a lot of work on that,
Yeah, it is.
especially since the TISA formula has changed depending on codes and all kinds of stuff. It's changed consistently since it's been implemented. So,
Consistent change.
yeah,
We
so
can
they,
count on that.
they keep up with all those changes and give me updates on where we are and where we think we're going.
And another big increase you see here is on software, and it's, our understanding, well, it's not our understanding, we've been told that the Skyward contract that the state currently has will expire at the end of this year. So nobody really knows what the price is gonna be for Skyward next year. So I am projecting a fairly sizable increase on Skyward, because that is our information system.
But do we contract through the state?
Yes, the state contracts with Skyward, and then we go through, but they contract with the price, and then we contract with Skyward.
And
They negotiate, I guess you could say, the
The
price.
price.
there's several platforms that they approve.
Yes, yes, sir.
On line 105 with the administrative SIS, is this a certified or non-certified?
Certified.
Certified. And that increased from 71,000 to 75,000. The actual amount from 2022-23 was 65, and then there was 71,000 we budgeted for last year.
Right.
And then this year, for the 2024-2025 budget, it's 75,000. That includes their raise? Is that what's
Yes, that's
happening there?
correct. You're correct.
Thank you.
Is there anything else on this page?
Now, when you're saying the raise, you're saying the percentage of the 7%?
I know where, I mean, basically, this is one person, and I know their user experience and educational
Okay,
level, and I just
okay.
took it right off the scale.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, the next page is Ms. Polson's page, and so I've got to tell on myself, because I made an error. Just
Confession's good for the soul.
confession's good for the soul. Ms. Polson got that grant last year, if you folks remember, about October, and we were able to add an assistant for her, and then she is paying some stipends to what she calls her school team leaders for health. Well, that should have been put in line 189, which comes to $54,195. It is not on the current copy that you have. That's all on me, but it is on my copy. But that's not going to make a real significant difference in the total budget. But we do have that person in place. She does have the money from the grant to fund that.
But the 113 is in
It's
our
up on the
grant.
revenue
It's
line.
on their income.
Yes, it's on our one. I did manage to do that. I just didn't manage to put that in. She has experienced some increases as far as her contracted services, as far as like our medical waste, some of the drug screening, things like that. All of that has gone up, so we did budget an increase there. Increase in her other materials. She increased her nursing training because she does a tremendous amount of training with nursing, a lot of her nurses and a lot of our other staff. So we increased that. And then she is doing a ton of work to promote wellness, and so we increased that. And then she needs to replace some of her vital sign monitors for all 12 clinics, and then wheelchair scales and her CPR mannequins. So that is a $29,000 increase there, and she will utilize some of her budget funds for those. Any questions on that page?
I think what we're doing is simply following you, digesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Page 12, this is where our guidance and our psychological personnel live, with our security coordinator. As you know, I guess it was a couple of years ago that you folks decided that we were gonna go with 16 full-time positions, guidance positions. Unfortunately, we still have 2 positions that are open. Sadly, we went to a job fair 2 weeks ago. We did not receive a single resume for guidance counselor. We didn't even talk to anybody. Of all the kids that came through, not a one.
Is no one going into?
Apparently not. We talked to a couple of students that were psychology majors, and we talked to them about they could probably catapult that into being a counselor or a psychologist, and just no one seemed really interested. Yes, sir.
Does this guidance personnel, does it have a minimum academic requirement?
You're gonna have a master's. And I think that's part of it, is that before they ever start working, they're gonna have a master's degree. Now, automatically, they'll come in at a little bit higher pay level, but still, they're gonna have to put the time in before they start working. I think the state is gonna have to look at something where they can work while they're earning it, like they have other degrees, but currently, they're not doing that.
What schools do not have counselors?
We don't have one at Pleasant Hill, and we haven't had one in Crab Orchard.
Are these counselors?
Yes.
School counselors.
School counselors.
The verbiage right here is the comptrollers, just general language, he wants all this to use, but we call those school counselors.
Okay.
Is Pineview sharing the counselor?
They have a part-time.
Is that a contracted?
It
or-
is, it's a contracted person, 80 days, I believe.
Okay.
And Mr. Step has requested to increase our high school guidance counselors to give them additional 5 days. They are currently at 205, and they would go to a 210.
Is there any reason in particular why?
Yeah, they currently still work through the summer trying to get scheduling and everything ready. They've already worked more than the 205 days. Plus, with the TISA on top of that, we spending a lot of time now, counselors, with scheduling and getting the right sequencing of CTE, or we don't get credit with TISA. So there's just a lot more requirements on the high school counselors now. So, but they work through the summers. They're working all the time.
How many positions?
6.
3 at each high school.
3 at each high school.
And that's the high school. They're just
At the
going
high
from
school.
205 to 210.
Correct.
Do we have a behavioral coach
We
position
do.
open?
No, he has been here all year. Mr. Jason Conforti,
Okay. And the other one is his counterpart.
Jessie,
Yes.
she's special education.
Okay. So is she a behavioral,
Yes, for special education.
but they work out of the same office?
She works for special education, and Mr. Conforti works for Dr. Farley.
Okay. Okay.
So your school counselor personnel generally will start off with a salary of $65,000 and an $8,000 health package,
Correct.
and we still can't find somebody with a master's degree.
I have contacted pretty much every state school, their department, and asked them to send me any graduate that they thought they would have interested in being a school counselor. There's just so many other opportunities with those degrees. They're not interested. There's just not any, I haven't had a resume for a school counselor from a job fair probably in 3 years.
Now, these people could get a master's degree in psychology, right?
Correct.
So the State Department understands there's a massive shortage of school counselors across the state. They're looking at modifying how a person would get certified as a school counselor to make it more appealing and a less strenuous process. Because right now, your actual practicum is almost a year long that you have to do before you can even get the certification. So they're looking at modifying it. I don't know where they are in that process as of right now, but they've let us know.
They
that
could do a
recognize-
provisional license like they do for special education, where you allow them to work in that position under someone. I mean, we have people that have done that in special education, and I think that's what they're gonna have to do. We have a couple of people that are vice principals that are also have a guidance background that we could place someone there. We just gotta find that person.
Do we have a social worker?
We do, we have 2 now.
Okay.
One lives on one page and one lives on the other. Because the one is partly grant funded, and this one, 100% you are paying out of GP.
We're paid.
But they have split the county in half, and I think it's worked out very well.
Why have we decreased 15,000?
Depends on who's in the position, because some are certified, some are not.
Okay. Okay.
We did have a little bit of a decrease. It's my understanding that the state is gonna pay for ACT now. So we're not gonna have to fund that, we're gonna pay for free ACT, is that correct?
Correct.
But it's not gonna be as expensive as paying for ACT. And really, this department has not asked for any other increases.
What's a security coordinator? Who's that? I mean, what's that?
That's just attendance person, security. And they supervise these people as well as our school information system personnel as well.
Okay.
Moving on to page 13. This is where our departmental supervisors live and our librarians. And basically, all we have on this page is wages and benefits. Everything else, everybody didn't really ask for any increases. We've got a small increase as far as school messenger and some of the software like I budgeted other places.
It says the academic part supervision, all 12 months employee. Who's the 3 people that are in that?
That would be your chief academic officer, your high school supervisor, and your pre-K
And your pre-K?
8.
Okay. So those 3 supervisors.
Yes, ma'am. But
That'd
they're
be
all
Dr.
12-month employees.
Farley, tell me again, Dr. Farley,
And your high school supervisor, Dr. Maddox,
Dr. Maddox, and then
Ms. Hobby.
Ms.
pre-K,
Hobby.
Pre-K.
Just carry on.
You ready? Okay. Page 14 is Ms. Holton, up again. This is the director's salary, and this is where you find some of her psychological personnel, the secretary, and then this is where you find Ms. Rolfe, Ms. Holloway, Ms. Inman, some of her folks here that do testing and various other things. And then if you look at line 399, this is where we move those contractual services that we took out on her other page.
Yeah, the sidekick.
Correct. That's speech pathology, and I don't really know who she will use for the other, but it will be contracted. There's some testing material increase, but nothing substantial. There again, we have people and benefits.
What page was she on previously? That we moved that from? Contractual services.
Let's see. She is on page 7.
Said move that. What line was that? That we moved that from?
171, speech pathologist. And there are a lot of our folks, our special ed people that do travel among all the schools. So that's why you see the increase in travel.
Now, is it my understanding that there's someone else in there besides Miss Holton? Who else is in there?
You mean
A
in the line?
supervisor.
No, Ms. Holton is the supervisor. She has her 2 school psychologists are on line 124.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is purely an academic question, but it shows that the director's position is increasing by 20%, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What does that entail? Where is our basis? And what
Well,
is-
that's what we were talking about earlier. Basically, what I did here, I've got 3 different possibilities I went with the highest, but basically I took the basis was the teacher scale. And then I have proposed, it's at the end of this presentation, basically an add-on to their daily rate, and then multiplied that by the number of days they work.
So this will change according to what the board approves as the salary schedules. It could
But
be a
the
lot
basis
lower.
of their pay would be the teacher's
So
scale.
you're not going with the old thing, you're assuming that we're gonna, vote on the new stuff?
I'm just, it's just
We
proposed.
you had to plug in
I
something.
had to plug something.
And we had not, there's two different salary scales that had been proposed. And we've not, that's the one that we wanted to look at. We tabled it and we looked at it. And in between, a new salary
Right.
proposal came up. Well, we've not approved either one of them, so
But-
that,
So you
But
could
we're-
revert back to the old scale
Yeah, that
and
would-
that would be different.
that very well may change, according to what we
So,
approve.
but so you're doing these salaries on something that we haven't really approved?
Right, but I had to put something there.
Right.
We projected it on the high end, and when y'all choose a salary, then we cut it down to wherever y'all approve. Yeah, I mean, whatever y'all approve, it'll
And that's,
but
I
we
mean, if you
didn't, we
do a
didn't have any approved
supervisor,
yet, so.
you take the teachers,
I would take
Base.
for like a principal, you take the teacher scale, put them wherever based on years of experience and their degree, and then add a flat amount to their daily rate for being a principal.
which was 68.50, 135,
62 for a vice principal,
125, and then 135.
correct,
And then multiply the 135
by the number of days they
by
work.
the number of days they work.
Correct,
So you're multiplying their extra thing by extra days.
by the number of
Sometimes
days they
it's-
work. All you would do is take their daily rate, and then you would add that to it and multiply it by the total days that they work.
But by my thinking, they're already getting paid for extra days because they're on a different salary schedule.
Well, they would not be, that's what I'm saying, I took your advice and went with the teacher scale. We do away with all those others, we'd have a teacher and a system-wide teacher scale. They would start there, based on their years of experience and their degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd add an amount to their daily rate and multiply it by the number of days they work, which is, I thought, what you had suggested,
No, I just wanted a plain supplement,
I,
you know.
just a supplement that, like a coaching supplement. That's what I was assuming. You get your whatever the teacher salary on that scale that we have, and then just like a coach, they get $2,000 a year to be a football coach or whatever. I know that it's more than that, but and do that kind of a supplement, not multiplying by this daily, this person works 40 something more days and they get it times 130. Some of those, I don't know,
but the reality is we don't know what the average salary of a director of schools is for a school of 5,000 or 7,000 students. It seems to me like the salaries, I'm sure you've done a study, haven't you researched what director salaries are?
Oh, I mean, I've done tons of research, I've probably got everybody's salary scales in the state just about.
Would you say that the director's salary is below the average in the area?
The director of schools or
Yeah, the
director?
director of schools.
we're not there yet. We're still here on this page.
We're still on page.
I'm on the wrong
14.
page, but we'll continue on
14,
just
we're on
later
page
on. I have no problems with a director or supervisor in special education getting a $20,000 raise. The image of that, the public perception is going to be kind of hard.
Like I said, I had to start with something. And I just used the scale and made some assumptions.
I think we need to get into talking about the scales a little bit, and then I think it might make some more sense.
Yeah, I mean, as a former member of the county commission, that was one of the things that I looked at was, looking at, well, why does this person get a 20% raise?
Right.
Versus an 8% raise for others.
Or a 2.4% raise for a teacher.
But I'm not objecting to it. we just need a good rationale, and if your rationale is sound, then we can deal with it. Thank you.
I think that the general purpose behind that is we have looked at those percentages for so long, wanting to get rid of the percentages and just have a scale. And that is something that we're gonna have to look at. And it may be that we do take the teacher scale and add a supplement to it. But I think, the proposal of, if you're an AP, we're gonna take a teacher's base, wherever you are on that base. We're gonna add 6850, 6250, multiply that times the days that you work, and that's your supplement,
Correct.
which it will, it comes, it's a lot of money.
Yes.
And all the general idea was just to get rid of those percentages.
Simplify. Yeah, make it
To simplify.
easier, understandable for the employees, to simplify it for,
Well, you can't go to their
District.
website and look on the teacher scales and try to figure out what you're gonna make if you apply.
and going back to the Lean Frog study, that was a recommendation that they had made, and apparently how several districts,
But we've
Do
not
it.
used the Lean Frog study for anything else. You can bring it up and it's not considered. I think we're gonna have to the salary scales are going to be a challenge.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
They're just gonna be a challenge. But I just wanted to say that was the purpose behind coming up with the two proposals.
Like I said, I don't have any, as a non-committee member, I don't have any objections to providing raises and increases. I just need a rationale for it all.
Well, once y'all approve those, then
That'll
these numbers
change.
will all be redone. So once we get it approved, salary schedule for certified and supervisors, then this will be a lot more accurate.
yeah, that's a pinnacle piece of deciding on the budget, and we had not met on that previously, so we're doing it all at one time now.
Carry on.
The next page is our technology page. This is where our computer techs and our director and that they live. The only thing significant here is we had budgeted in the past, for some, I believe it was wireless, project that we were gonna do. We've already got that in process, so we won't need that money next year.
Yes. Are we letting the seniors take their Chromebooks?
As far as I know,
Okay, and we start in first grade,
Fifth grade.
fifth grade.
fifth grade. So
There's classroom sets in elementaries, but fifth grade is when
Fifth grade,
where they get assigned,
Yeah, we buy them fifth grade and ninth grade.
but what grade level do we go down to that we assign those Chromebooks? Is it fifth?
Fifth grade.
Okay, so fifth through 12th. Okay.
And again, my question, excuse me for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
That's a 17%, approximately 17% raise. Or difference anyway, 99,000 and 116,000.
where are you,
Where are you at?
Page 15.
Go back to, we're on page 16.
Gee, how did that happen?
Yeah, we're on page 15.
115.
15.
15.
we're on
16,
16,
technology.
technology.
Did we skip? We skipped.
Eldridge,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
skipped.
Career Technology and CET program.
Yeah,
Sorry,
So what are we on? What page are we on?
let's go to 15.
Let's go to 15.
I'm not critical of any of our employees. I'm just pointing out that in comparison to other members of our Cumberland County Board of Education, School of Education, Cumberland County School Systems, that a 17% increase seems maybe justifiable, but certainly needs to be studied.
That'll come up with our salary studies.
Yeah, there's several different options we provided
Yeah,
for the
I've
board to
seen the same
choose
thing.
from.
Yes.
In other pages as well.
Yes, me
Yes.
too, Mr. Safety,
Well,
thank
it's
you.
getting rid of those percentages. The reason you did, you know, you're gonna see it on the principal's page, you're gonna see it on the, where the assistant principals are listed, cause it'll involve the assistant principals, principals, and supervisors. So you're gonna see it on those, but, this is the first time we're seeing it in print. But these can change. This is draft one.
The other thing that lives on this page is our CTE coach and our CTE counselor, and then our computer science and stream coordinator. And Dr. Eldridge has requested her CTE coach be increased to 205 and our CTE counselor be increased to 210. She did increase their travel a bit because they do stay on the road quite a bit, going to all the schools. And then 524 for CTE and staff professional development, and this is the travel for all the many, many competitions that they compete in.
So we spend $65,000 a year for competitions.
Well, for everybody's travel and things like that, we spent 55, and we've got more people, there's more things going on this year, that's why she asked for the $10,000 increase.
And is this for just the teachers and the professional staff, or do do we pay for the students?
We pay for some of the student expenses. But we always have, Ms. Dawson. That's not new this year. And I will say, we do use some of our Perkins basic money for CTSOs as well. We can use up to 20% of that grant, and we use the full 20%.
Yes. Well, that's why I wanted to do this first, because this was what was projected. And then we go back and we look at the because there's several salaries that we've got to look at. Okay. I wanted everybody to get a feel of what was proposed.
Well, we projected on the high end just so we would know what the max could be. That, because we don't, unless we just fall back onto the salary schedules we have now. But this would just show you if we do the top one, then that's what it looks like. But if we back off or stay at the original, we know where we're gonna be too, so.
And I appreciate that, I do, and I see the logic in it. I just feel that it puts the board in a precarious position where if Robbie Safdie says, well, a 20% raise is too much, then,
Yes.
and as a board member, we all agree on that, then it's the board that takes the responsibility or the hit for that potential decrease in what the highest level of raise was.
Oh, we,
I mean, it seems to me that I would have preferred getting a medium.
I don't know that there was a meeting.
Oh, I have 3 different ones, I mean, we could,
I mean, you have it, I mean, I understand that you can calculate it, so you calculated the high end, and that's fair for a presentation like today, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but it's.
Oh, it's okay.
No, that's what it's here, that's what we're here for.
And the way to have avoided that would have been, we would have had to decide on the salary schedules first, so then they could have taken what we decided on and plugged that into the budget, so we weren't budgeting
Or they could have
for
used the
high
old
end.
salary and started there.
But that would have put us low.
Maybe that's where we needed to be.
Yeah. Oh,
Since we hadn't decided on either scale yet.
But I think that would have really given a very skewed view of what our fund balance was.
right. That would have put it really low on our expenditures for
Right.
salaries, and it wouldn't have given us a true idea of where we were gonna end up. You always kind of plan for the worst
Correct.
and hope for the best, right? So
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
like planning for the most, and then we can come down from there.
Correct.
Kim, what is the difference? Or could you get us the difference between the current salary scale that we have right now compared to what you have used in this budget? Can you get us a number?
Well, that's basically what you're seeing when you see the difference in what was
Yeah.
budgeted and the proposed.
What was budgeted and, yeah.
That's what that is. Like, if you look at what was budgeted for 23, 24, and that difference is the difference over budget.
Right.
So that's basically what you're seeing there.
Like on number 15, last year was 99,345, and the difference is 3,830 to have that 116,125. I'm looking at the very top, vocational director on page 15, CTE, which would be Miss Eldridge.
Got it.
So that's what you're saying.
Correct. I mean,
Okay.
that's basically what that gives you there is
So we're
this year, what was there last year based on last year's salary scale.
Yes, ma'am.
And then this year.
And then and that's why it's in parentheses, because it's
Well, that was from the prior year. You're looking at 23, 24, and then 24 to 25. That's the difference.
okay.
Mhm.
And that's the difference, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a big difference.
Okay. Leslie, if I may, you use some of your Perkins grant to do competitions.
Yes, ma'am. We're allowed to use 20% of our total amount. So we can only exceed 20%.
What is your Perkins grant?
153,000 total.
How much do you normally have to use on it?
The full 20%.
Do you,
Yes, we do.
okay. What kind of competitions are we talking
We're talking about FFA, FCCLA, FBLA, Skills USA, HOSA. Some of our elementaries go to robotics, Lego, I mean, there's
about? You're
several.
talking about predominant competitions.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's state level, regional level, and national level. A lot of times our nationals are held in California, Colorado, requires plane tickets.
Well, the FFA alone,
That's in Indiana every year, the nationals.
okay, thank you.
We're ready for technology now.
Page 16. I think I've asked all the questions on this. Chris, are you still with us?
Yes. I'm still,
Okay, thank you. Just checking.
Like I said, this is where our director
Yeah.
and our techs live, along with our one-to-one Chromebook initiative. This is where we purchase teacher laptops. We will be purchasing laptops for 3 schools this year. And we also have now included our, for 4 schools this year. And we've also included our nurses in the rotation. And Google licenses have increased to around additional $12,000.
So this page really hasn't decreased. We just added back 120,000.
Well, we added back 120, because that project is in process right now, and we won't be doing it again.
Hopefully. Okay.
It was an upgrade to our wireless internet. The next page is you guys' page. Are there any questions here?
The Board of Education has not had a raise since 15 years.
Speak to the county commission.
Do what?
Speak to the county commission.
No.
We can't just include a 15 or 20% raise on this budget. Thank you, I understand.
On line 599, other charges, it says supplies for board meetings and meals. We don't have meals anymore.
No, we discontinued those.
That went in last year though, for meals, but we didn't end up doing that.
And we can remove it,
I know that, we had every once in a while one, but
I think Kathy does Christmas. She does one a year, and it's Christmas. Other than that, we've not had.
and like I said, I can take it back down, whatever you just put in last year, and I just left it there. The biggest increase on this page that you need to be aware of is that we will be having a new auditor this year for our internal school audits. And that price will be substantially more than what we had in previous years. I don't know what, because I've not been able to contract with anybody yet. So I did budget a $9,000 increase there. We have had some increases with TSBA, so we had to budget some additional there. And the biggest increase is on our workers' compensation insurance, but as our wages go up, that's based on wages, that number is gonna go up.
We've got, on the executive summary, that's also includes property insurance. Never mind.
That lives on another page.
He lives on another page. Got it. Now, there is no totals here.
I know, for some reason that didn't total, but the difference is $82,067.
Okay.
The biggest portion of that is the insurance, obviously.
Obviously. Hassel Ray is not going to do the audit.
I mean,
who's going to do that?
we don't know, I'm trying to find someone, because we have to work off a list that the state has provided, and Ms. Brenda and I are now on our third list of folks. And so far, we have not found any takers.
Nobody wants to.
But I'm having to reach out to Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Nashville, and I can guarantee you the price will go up.
Yeah.
From yes.
But you have to work off the state's approved vendor list for that.
It's gonna be tough.
Hopefully, when tax season is over, I'm gonna revisit some of these folks and ask them to reconsider. Next is the superintendent's page.
And we've discussed this before, 135,000.
That's
How much?
just if you approve that, if you don't approve anything, it stays where it's at right now. So we're just trying to project, like we said, just,
But I think in the contract, we said that it would be with, like the supervised praise. Like the supervised, however the supervisors.
If we just gave a percentage.
right,
We
so
did.
Supervisor percentage, oh,
If
okay.
we change that pay scale,
that's what
Okay.
it could look like.
that may make a
But if
difference.
y'all just keep it the way it is, it stays the way it is.
Okay.
What are the legal issues in doing a comparative study of directors
TOS has done that study last year and the year before last, the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents. Shows you the average in East, Middle, and West. And then,
Which we have, don't we?
I sent that to you
Yeah, we
guys.
have.
But do we not, but we didn't get the number of years of service or the,
That's just
level
the
of
average
education.
salary, yeah, that's just the average salary and the high salary and low.
TSBA has information out there by district as well for the directors.
I did put a slight increase on this page because this is where we pay our teacher, do the teacher and the classified, banquet for each year, some of the other things. We have seen some increases there as far as the awards and that sort of thing, so we did put a modest increase here for that.
did you increase the kitchen supplies? Last year we had a problem.
We've got kitchen supplies. Any questions there? Next is the Office of the Principal. This is where you find all of your principals and assistant principals and our school secretaries and our bookkeepers. And there's literally nothing that increases on this page other than wages and benefits.
Where are our assistant principal, there they are.
139. And that number's always gonna vary based on who is in those positions.
We only have, how many assistant principals do we have?
15
15.
15 assistant.
principals, yeah. One for each elementary and then
Two at each high school.
3 at each high school, well, 16 and one at
One at
Phoenix.
Phoenix. She's half.
Right.
So 16? So the increase here is simply salaries.
Correct. But we kept everything else in this page as far as professional development, supplies, the same.
Why is the assistant principals decreased?
Depends on who's in the position, how much years of experience in their education level. We have a couple of folks that are brand new to the position.
Go ahead.
Okay,
So
page-
I just had a question about what raises were they being given percentage-wise, but you really can't really tell us because there is no percentage-wise. So my question is moot. Okay, thank you, ma'am. But why no raises for the secretaries? I don't know, maybe I misunderstood that.
Well, it depends on who's in that, position.
Because I don't know, when I was going through it and I was thinking
I
the
think
secretary.
I used actuals on that, and basically it would be, the effect of cost over year would be nothing. Because I actually used an actual to figure this, but we didn't actually spend as much as what I proposed in last year.
Because I know they work hard too.
Oh, they do, and they will receive a raise, but it just, like I said, we didn't spend as much last year depending on who's in those positions, and I used the actual number. We're ready? next page is my page. This would be if we had a financial controller and myself, you would find us here. And as far as clerical personnel, this is our inventory person and then the accounting assistant that works with myself.
Here's. Okay.
Is the salary of your position, okay, does it match what is being paid around for the equivalent position?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But this is two positions. That's not just me.
We've only got 75,000 for the finance control, right?
That's what was approved, yes.
And that's what it stayed, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that 17,303 does not include an increase for the controller.
No, it's just over what was budgeted last year.
Well, so is that two positions there?
Yes, ma'am, that's two positions. That's myself, and if I had a financial person, and someone else was sitting in this seat besides me.
But we budgeted $75,000 last year for the controller and $75,000 this year for the controller. So that would be a wash.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there are two people on line 162.
That is,
We have a inventory person here, and then the financial assistant that works with myself. She works with Dr. Farley.
that's a new position.
That we put in last year when I was doing both the HR and the financial position, and my new position.
So what is this, the clerical position?
Correct, there's two clerical positions here.
And y'all share?
Yes, we
Okay.
share.
Go ahead.
Didn't really ask for anything. I know I have a software increase coming with our EAP software and our 1099 software, so I put some additional funds there. And I haven't really done much for our bookkeepers in the last couple of years, so I would like to bring someone in to train them formally. So I'm requesting additional $3,100 to bring someone in to do that, to work with them for at least one day.
Okay.
Page 21 is our human resource page. This is our HR director and the HR executive assistant page. Both of these are classified employees. The only big difference here is for fingerprinting. And that's based on how many people we hire and how many people have to reprint and that sort of thing each year. Because everybody has to be reprinted once every 5 years. And when they are reprinted, we actually absorb that cost.
Now, On line 471, that's software.
Right, that's our Safe Schools, our Siesta, which is our time and attendance software, and then if I was able ever to purchase some actual HR software.
The HR software is in there. We just have never purchased it.
Correct.
Because I think we went through this last year.
Correct.
Is it not available yet?
No, there is something that I think would be useful, but it's only gonna be useful to us if we can have a connection between it and our county government. And hopefully, they started using a small piece of something that I'm very interested in. And if they go ahead and take the leap to go with it,
How much is that?
probably about 30,000. But it would eliminate a ton of work that we go, that there's so much duplication of effort between the HR office and finance, it's very sad. Everybody gets, all employee paperwork is still sent over by hand, everybody's entered in the system twice. There's a ton of just repetition that's totally unnecessary that could be done electronically.
Wow.
Everything is still transferred on paper,
Why?
because we don't have any software.
We budgeted for it for,
But if they won't let it automatically upload into the software they use, there's no point in us making that investment.
carry on.
The next page is where our custodial staff is. This is where you see the increase in our property insurance.
What page are you on?
Page 22, did I skip one again?
No.
No.
Okay, operation of plant, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This is our custodial page. We have seen a significant increase in electricity because VEC has raised their rates. So I'm projecting another increase, may not happen, but just to be on the safe side. We have seen an increase in some of our security system, monitoring, lead water testing, some of the things that we have to do monthly. And then we have still continued to see some increases in supplies. And we have done a bit better this year. We've had several custodians that have left, but we have been able to replace them. We've had 2 retire recently. But I think we have done a bit better job of staying closer to fully staffed than we have in previous years.
How many are we down at this point?
I don't really know that we're down any at this point.
So we have 57
And a half.
positions
And a half.
and a half.
We have 3 people that have already placed their retirement papers that we will have to replace.
That'll be in May.
And we'll replace them with that.
But we're fully staffed.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's
It could change every day, but electricity is our substantial cost on this page, it's not employee related.
Did you see the substantial increase last year?
I started noticing it when I saw the bills, and then I had Ms. Hyder do kind of a deep dive into it, and they had increased the rates.
Any questions?
Moving on to page 23. This is maintenance of the plant. This is where all of the maintenance for all of our buildings live, where our maintenance personnel live, where the bookkeeper, secretary for the maintenance department lives.
We have 12 maintenance personnel?
We do now. We do.
Okay.
We have 8, what I would call general maintenance people, and then 2 HVAC, a plumber, and an electrician that are more your specialty folks.
Where are we on last year's maintenance schedule? Getting everything, have we finished everything that we put on? I mean,
Pretty much, we've
The
got most of
rotation.
it done. We've got most of the rotation, or if it's set to be done. Like, for example, Pleasant Hill is due for their parking lot to be resurfaced. We have issued the purchase order for that. Obviously, that can't be done until school's out, but those funds will be encumbered in this year's money. We started the process on South. Those funds will be encumbered in this year's funds. Pine View Roof, we've done several things this year that are part of the schedule. The petitions for the bathrooms. We did the resurfacing in SMHS. I think we've pretty much conquered a good bit of it.
Miss Keaton used to come to the meetings and tell us about these. Why is she not coming anymore?
Well, she's off today.
Well, I know that. She
is off
used to
today.
tell us.
Okay, there's going to be, from what we budgeted and what we spent, South has about $200,000 to spend on the renovation. Is that money gonna be,
Yes, we'll encumber that. I mean, we've worked with Ms. Hall. She's got some other things she'd like to do. But some of that, if we don't have to have a architect, there's some things that need to be done that we can do without, we don't need an architectural design that we can take care of. Like doors,
okay,
things like that.
but that money will be,
We'll encumber those funds.
okay. Where is that?
Just showing your financial statements as an encumbrance. When you look next month, if you'll see under this line, it'll say so much has been encumbered, and that's what that is. And then they'll just basically set that aside in the accounting system, and then as they pay, they'll deduct it from last year versus this year,
Okay,
which is a really nice feature instead of having to reissue POs every year.
okay. Now, we've budgeted 30,000 for lawnmower rotation, but you've got 45 on the maintenance plan as well. What,
There's lawnmowers that we purchase for schools, and then there's the mowers that actually Mary's crew uses. And this is what's on this page. What's on the capital page is where we're going to purchase lawnmowers, three each year for the schools. Used to, the schools had to purchase their own lawnmowers, which I thought was kind of weird. But they divide out of the capital expenditure, of their capital money. So I thought that seemed more fair than asking them to spend their capital money. And Mary gets a really good price off the state contract that we would purchase mowers with them, just like you requested the furniture, and just put that on the rotation.
how do we know how many mowers? I mean, we're gonna buy 3 mowers a year?
Well, that's about based on, while high schools have more than one, they usually have at least one, if not 2, and the high schools where they have all the fields have more than that. So, you can pretty much know the life of a lawnmower. Especially one that's utilized a lot. Because we've got some that are pretty sad. I've seen them. And they can only be Band-Aided back together for so long.
True, true.
Next.
We good there?
Well,
Next
I
one
think
is,
that one will change once we start in on the maintenance.
Because the only thing that's on that is our maintenance schedule, and then we requested $200,000 to do everything else that comes up,
Which we do, we put that in there every year.
and we utilize it.
We'll use all of it.
Right. HVAC,
Yes,
did ESSER not take care of just a whole lot of that?
it did. It did. But we still got a lot of, when we were doing the walkthrough with Mr. Chamberlain, we still have a lot of units that are old. I mean, there are a ton of different units in this school system.
Is that gonna be reflected in his report? Is those HVAC?
They looked at every unit, he crawled on every roof, not Mr. Chamberlain. The young engineer crawled
Yeah,
on
he was
every roof.
Okay.
And they will give us a schedule based on the type of unit it is, whether it's a rooftop or the barge unit, which are the tower units, the P-PACs.
Whether it's 30,000 or,
Lifespan, all that, yep.
Whether it's a $30,000 unit or a $50,000 unit. But
Yeah.
yes, ESSER did help us considerably to purchase some of the very large units.
I mean, we spent almost $4 million on
And
it.
we did the new Pelican controllers, which should help control the, the temperature and everything in the building. So, I mean, we used that money well.
I was just hoping eventually to get caught up on HVAC.
I don't think you'll ever get caught. We have too many units.
Okay.
Next one is transportation. This is where our mechanics live, our supervisor, our bookkeeper, our bus driver.
Are we fully staffed?
No,
How many are we down?
well, let's see. Probably about 8. Because we're still having to double a lot of routes, which is
think
not
that's-
good.
12 routes open, is that correct? Or 10?
Is that right?
Been that way all year.
We've hired several people this year, but we've lost several people to retirement and illness.
Yeah, the double routes are long too. I think the bus I rode on was 62 miles just in the afternoon. So it was a very long route. Bus driver was great though.
You've got 5 buses
This will be for the next year. Correct.
and a new service truck.
Yes. She has a service truck that badly needs to be replaced, 2003 Chevy. It's got over 110,000 miles on it, and that's what they use when they have to go rescue somebody. And I'm projecting another price increase over what we paid this year for next year.
Didn't we have an issue with the buses
Yes,
this year?
yes. They were $10,000 more than what I had originally projected this time last year. When I first started here, you could buy a full-size bus for right around $100,000. We paid $148,000 for the ones we're getting this year. Wow.
The attendance, do we have any?
On our special education buses, we have no attendance on regular routes.
How many special education buses do we have?
Where are we in here? 12? Probably more than that.
So we've got $86,000 budgeted for attendance. I mean, what,
I'd have to look to see how many. I really, because she pretty much handles all of that. But there's supposed to be an attendant on every special education bus.
right,
And a lot of times our attendants are people that are also our teacher's assistants and they have other positions.
but we budgeted for attendance on our regular bus routes.
And we've had some, but they come and go. But this is the majority are gonna be your special education attendants.
So how many attendants does this include for
I'll have
regular?
to check. I really can't answer that.
Could you fund?
I can.
Okay.
Is there anything else on this page?
I don't think so.
Page 25 will not exist anymore because the grant that was on this page last year, we have fulfilled it. Our next page is our community services page. This is where our family resource center coordinator, basically now our other social worker lives, along with the folks that work in our kids club at North.
What is the? Okay, Kids Club. CCQCP.
That's
Is that a
Kids-
grant?
That's kids club. No, they're self-supporting.
They're self-supported? Okay, so we budget 70,000 and.
She covers her own expenses. Basically, all that we probably contribute to them, we buy them $1,500, $2,000 worth of snacks and puzzles and things like that. But her grant, the last couple of years, she has purchased a lot of that, so basically, we've not done that.
That's Miss Loretta's program.
That's Miss Loretta's program.
Yeah,
It's a
is
great
that
job.
on the, where is that on the front, on the income sheets? Or is it on there?
It's on there. It's line 43517, tuition other, and in the notes, it says kids club.
Kids Club. Right.
She does a fine job.
She does.
Yes, she does.
That's at North and Homestead, or
No,
just
we don't
North?
have it
Just
at
North.
Homestead anymore.
Just North?
Just
We don't
North.
have any other programs.
Got it.
Would the Baby Bird program be considered a community service,
No, that's part of the Phoenix School,
the Phoenix School?
and that's where all that, on that alternative school page, that's where those assistants are.
Okay, thank you.
Page 27 is pre-K. As you know, we get a grant for this, which covers a substantial portion of this. They were able to purchase their curriculum last year, so we won't be doing that again. And basically, here again, we have our teachers and our assistants. And their benefits. Any questions there?
Go ahead.
Okay. Last page is our capital outlay page. This is where our engineering services page lives. Anytime we have to have a project that's over $25,000, we have to have an engineer. So that's what that is. I went ahead and rebudgeted our balance on CCHS, so I doubt that we will be to our portion of that by the time the budget ends. So I went ahead and put it in for next year. And
So
then
that is for the auditorium.
Correct.
Is this our contingency fund?
this is what, after ESSER pays, that I have projected out that we would owe. This was our portion of it. It may be less, it may be a little bit more, but we have to have that adequate appropriation to say that we can finish the project up. But I don't think they will get to our money by June 30th. It'll still be ESSER.
What about by September 30?
That'd still be ESSER, and then after that, they hope to be finished by the end of September, or early October. And at that point, as long as we spend those ESSER funds, we can pick up our portion of it. And right now, they're still on schedule.
Okay.
Line 799, now this has changed a bit. You have always given to each school $10,000 for their own capital expenditures. We've always had $30,000 here for district use. We are requesting for district use a box truck, which is $62,000. I have requested 4 classroom sets of furniture, 1 for school.
One per school?
4 classrooms, like 1 set per school.
One set per school.
Right. 4 classrooms at 1 set per school, which is around $6,000. We do a classroom set.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
That's the lingo they use.
Well, you're gonna buy 4 sets at about $6,000.
Right, and that'll be 4 different schools.
What schools?
That will be for someone else to
That's one,
determine.
that's one classroom.
Correct.
So we'll have to create a rotation for this like we did the partitions and the,
One's not been created yet, so we don't know.
it's not, yeah, it hadn't been approved yet, but we can have something ready that matches what we already do with rotations.
I didn't see it, but where is the where is the JTR?
JROTC,
Thank you.
it's in the salaries at the beginning.
It's just in your regular teaching
It's
zone.
part of the certified teacher position.
So it's in certified teachers.
And we're currently searching.
Do we have anything on that?
I'm in the process of searching, still working with them to find. A couple of candidates I had went to other counties.
Kim, could you put a notation that that's where that is? Because that's what, 210,
210?
210,
Yeah, that was projected on the high end, of course.
sure.
Could you, or did you find out if there's any particular reason that another county was chosen over our county? Is there any reason for?
They already had the program set up,
Okay.
so they
So
walked
it's-
right into something that was already rolling.
Need to find somebody who's up for a little bit of a different challenge,
There you go.
starting it
Yeah.
up. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not easy to find people to fill that position.
I'm working on it, I'm hoping. I think we should have it. Should have peoples in those positions, get that rolling, at least started.
Now, if we can't find 2 appropriate personnel for those positions, does the money get transferred back to the general budget?
Yeah, so at the
It
end
just
of,
rolls to the fund balance.
yeah, so that's what happened this
Fund
year.
balance?
Yes.
And there's nothing on our debt service page because that was all paid off last year, so we're free and clear.
Okay. Okay, now, start at tell us where we are.
Well, we just finished page 27. 28, we were on page 28 talking about capital outlay. And then down below that was where previously we had our debt service on our train contract. But that has all been paid and we're free and clear.
So you're projecting fund balance to end at 11,379,000.
No. That's the beginning for this year. It will end at 4,888,771.
it will end where?
It will end this year, I'm projecting at 11,379,752.
Right.
And at the end of next year, with these expenditures, it would be at 4,882,771, which would give us a cushion over our required 3% of 2,771,651.
So does the 4061, does that include the 2.1?
Now what?
What line number are we on?
Okay, we are required for 3%, and that's 2.1 million.
Correct.
Then we've got 4.061.
Below that.
Does that 4.061 include, or is that apart and separate?
The overage,
We're required to
the
keep.
2.11, that's what we're required.
Right.
And then above that, anything over that is that's,
Is the 4061.
right.
Okay, that's what,
But I'm projecting at the end of next year with our expenditures, if they were as they are today, we would have a fund balance of 4,882,771.
4,882,000.
771.
Okay. Where is that on here?
Yeah, it's not on here.
Well, yours should be a little bit different, because I put Miss Marcia's 50-something thousand and took it out of mine. But it should be under proposed 24-25, where it says beginning fund balance is 11,379. You should have a total of 4,882,771.
I do not.
I don't see
I
that
don't
on
see
here.
that.
I do not. That's okay. It can be updated. Now, let's talk about, you do not have the $1 million for the federal funds
Right,
in proposed for 24-25.
right, because it's already been set aside for federal funds. Now, it's still our money, because I had this conversation with the county finance office. It's still in a reserve account. It's our money, but it's reserved so that they can pay their bills in a more timely fashion.
Right.
Need to be. But it's still our money, we've still got it.
So it's already transferred to 142.
Right,
It's sitting out there,
right, in a reserve.
but we purposely put it there in order to cover ESSER funds.
Correct. Or just
Those-
federal funds, period.
Federal funds, period. It ends, or ESSER ends in September. Do we plan on bringing some of that back?
We can do that. We will have to approach that with finance. I don't know what the mechanism would be to do that, because it's sitting in a reserve account. I don't know how we do that, but they have assured me, yes, the money is still ours.
How would we get to it? if
I don't
we-
know. I'll have to speak with them on that, because that's an interesting transaction to me.
Was it easily transferred to them?
It was transferred to them before I ever got here. This has been sitting there now for at least 3 years.
It has. But, well, when we started ESSER is kind of when we
They knew it would be needed,
put that over
because
there.
there's some substantial bills that they're having to.
Well, you had to pay first and you got it was a reimbursement.
Reimbursement.
If we don't have ESSER, even if we brought a portion of it back, not the full million, but will you find out how we do that?
Like I said, I'll have to figure out how that would have to work.
So in all reality, we've got a 4,882,771 fund balance, as best as you can guess at this point.
And it's purely a projection.
And that's total. So then we have to look at, we need to take out the 2.1 million basically that we are required to keep for 3%. And so the difference between that 4,882 and the 2,111 would be our overage in our
Which is,
account.
which would be the 270.
70, so, yeah, okay.
Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, what about the 400,000 that we got, and help me out here, we got 601.
It's carryover. Are you talking
It
about
was a
carryover?
carryover, where is that?
It's in the bank.
I like it when it's in the bank.
It's at the trustee's office, but in order for us to utilize that, because that was not budgeted, that was our outcome-based funding, just like I did for the Pine View route, I raised the revenue, and then I raised the expenditure so that we could spend it on the Pine View route. We just need to determine, if not, that'll just all flow into our fund balance. If we want to utilize that in this school year, we just need to do a budget amendment.
So I'll have a budget amendment recommendation for the April meeting for that. Like we
Just to
talked,
bring it back.
to
We
put
just need
it,
to
so you,
park it.
so the board puts it in a line item.
Okay.
So if we wanna
okay.
use it for one of the maintenance projects or whatever, we just have to say, okay, it goes into that line item. Cause
Okay.
it's not in a line item right now to use.
And that was, where did that money derive from? It was our first,
Outcomes money, so
Outcomes.
it's the success and performance of the school system, certain indicators you get certain money for.
any questions? I think this will give us something to start looking at and talking about. Do you wanna talk about, on the agenda next is the assumptions. Do you wanna go ahead and go through those?
I think most of them we've been through, we can walk back through them again.
Well, an assumption is, it's already in this budget.
Correct.
We just assume that this is the way we're gonna go, and that's what we're gonna do.
Correct.
Is there any questions on the assumptions? Chris, any questions?
No questions.
You're being awful quiet. You must not feel well. Okay.
I'm good.
So what I would like to do at this point, it is now 6:30. I would like to, I'll make a motion that we stop there and reschedule to start going through the salary and the budget.
The maintenance.
Yes, maintenance, that's what I meant.
And if y'all have a certain guidance of the salary stuff that you want us to recalculate, let me know and we'll get that done before the next meeting, so
Well,
y'all see the
my one-
difference.
Yeah, my one problem is I don't want, we've got this budget draft, and then we've got this budget draft, and then it gets very confusing as to what you've got. So I think that bears some discussion. You're gonna be gone
All next week.
all next week. We need to go ahead and, we may start on a maintenance
Okay.
and wait till you get back to do salaries, but we're gonna have to get.
Okay.
Chris, what day next week looks good to you?
Tuesday. We can meet when we're already meeting on other committees.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Is there any other day that you have a conflict next week?
I'm good on Monday and Wednesday and Friday, as well as Tuesday.
Okay, well,
My evenings are clear.
okay, all right, thank you. Any questions, comments? If not, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn, that we table the certified salary, supervisor salary, maintenance budget worksheet, administrative add-ons, and maintenance needs until we meet next week.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
This is for Director Stepp. When we discuss the maintenance needs, is it appropriate to ask Mary Kington
Yeah,
if she could be here that day
Absolutely.
too?
absolutely.
I know that you and her are in constant communication, but I'd like to also have her present, just because she's the superintendent of maintenance. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
I know she was just off today, so.
Okay. So did you second that motion?
Yes, second.
Okay. The motion is that we table the 6, 7, and 8, and 9, and pick up on that when when the budget committee meets again. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in